adjustments to the agenda, Envirothon team state champions, 6-8, and possible school board action, Envirothon team traveling to nationals, 6-9. Skip my attendance. Lynn is out, Chantel is out, and Tasha's going to be late. I'd entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 26, 2022. Moved by Phoebe, second. Jody? Any errors, omissions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Abstain. Yes.
That's what I thought.
Abstain.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Elaine?
Yes.
Holly?
Yes.
Phoebe? Yes. Rob?
yes. So moved. Communication correspondence, I'd like to bring up Ron Smith from RHR Smith & Company to talk about our audit.
Can you hear me now? Good evening. I'm Ron Smith, principal with RHR Smith & Company. We live in the world of governmental auditing. We do over 200 school systems in the state of Maine and Vermont, and a third of all the municipalities in the state of Maine and Vermont. So we know who you are, what you are. I just had the pleasures of meeting with your finance committee prior to this meeting. I was told 3 minutes or less because you had a busy agenda, so I'll hit the highlights and the condensation of that meeting. And really, to sum it up, you guys got our highest opinion and unmodified opinion for the audit that we completed on 6/30/21. Your carryover balance grew from $1.3 to $1.9 million, largely in part because of a COVID year and because you returned $1 million of budgeted expenses that weren't spent because of the non-providing of those services back to the bottom line. That's why your fund balance grew. That happened to probably over 95% of all the school systems in the state of Maine that we audit. So it was typical. We see it. Your capital reserve, kind of just trying to just go back through the presentation. The two big things different from 21 over 20. Clearly, you got $4.5 million of funds outside the local community. Over $3 million of that was COVID relief funds. That certainly allowed the school system to do some much needed and necessary things. As I said to the finance committee, and I'll say that to everybody here tonight, that stay true to who you are. I've been doing this for 30 years. I saw this back in 2008 with the ERA funds, and I saw programs that got added, that got discontinued, and jobs went away too. So, not to tell you what to do and who you are, but you know who you are, stay to that, and understand it's going to be challenging, but we still see a lot of money coming your way, over the next few years. So that's about the highlights of the financial condition that we talked about. There were some best practice issues with just some of the handling of the kids' money. Nothing to be alarmed about, things that we'd work with Crystal on. Purchase orders, some best practices with that. And some old outstanding checks, time to send to the Abandoned Property Tax Division in the state of Maine. So that's about the summary. Well done. Crystal, certainly, and her staff, thanks to them. And yeah. So that's my condensed version of the report that I provided to the Finance Committee.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
It's been a great pleasure. Good evening.
Okay, next up, and I'm sorry, I just heard the name, and I'm horrible, but the Portland Symphony Orchestra presentation.
Okay, I'll introduce him. This is John Elliott. He is the Director of Education and Community Engagement for the Portland Symphony Orchestra. I met him through the course of our Institute of Civic Leadership program that I went through this year. We toured Merrill Auditorium and the Portland Symphony Orchestra, and we have decided to strike up this partnership and hopefully bring some community programming to this area. So, John, take it away.
Thank you very much, Robin. As she said, my name's John, and I'm the Director of Education at the Portland Symphony Orchestra. I'm just here to sort of state our intent to work with Robin and work with the community here and the team to bring a very special PSO education program to the students in ideally 6th, 7th, and 8th grade of this district. Long story short, there is a very special collection of instruments called the Violins of Hope. All of these instruments have survived the Holocaust and have eventually, over a long period of time, made their way into the hands of a luthier, which is a very expensive word for somebody who is a violin repairman who lives in Israel. And he's collected these instruments into this collection, I guess you could say. And occasionally this collection will tour. And the Portland Symphony has worked to bring these instruments to Portland coming up in this October. We will be using these instruments to perform on stage for a performance we're doing of the Verdi Requiem, which it's a piece of music that itself has a long history with the Holocaust. But in addition to using these for performances just in our home in Portland, we're trying to get them out into the community, and so we are creating a special education program just for middle school students alongside the Holocaust and Human Rights Center in Augusta. And we will be partnering to bring this program ideally to students here in this district, which we're really excited about. It's totally self-funded. There is absolutely no cost whatsoever to the school. And we're just very excited to take this opportunity to service this community, which is sort of, if you look at the map of all the places that we go, this is one of the areas where we've not had the kind of engagement that we would hope for. So we're really excited by this opportunity.
Any questions, comments? Andrew?
Yes, indeed. That's a great question. You know, I think the goal is here, we have a very small window where we'll have these instruments on hand, but boy, do we want to reach every single child we possibly can while we have it. So it really just depends on the strength of the collaboration and obviously, you know, the immovable objects like calendars and bus schedules. But, you know, I think if there's a way where we can get as many students crammed into one place as we possibly can for 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 performances over the course of a day, we are absolutely game to do it. We've done, our educational programs will sometimes be for 5 people and sometimes it'll be for 2,000. So we're capable of reaching as many people as we can. Yeah.
Pat?
I just wanted to say thank you for coming and sharing all of this experience and, you know, meeting up with Robin. Very nice that you guys were able to strike up this conversation and bring something new and different to the table. And I actually am familiar with the history of this portion of it, and I think oftentimes it can be understated how much of an impact music has had on our history, the actual music telling perhaps the story itself or the history. And this is a pretty incredible story. So I urge everybody to take some time to actually look into it. But thank you.
Thank you, Patrick, and very well put. And just really quickly, I would like to say a huge thank you to Robin, who is already done so much to get this collaboration started and on the right path. We simply, as much as I would like to just kick in the doors and start playing for students here, that's generally frowned upon. And so we need partners like Robin who make it all possible.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Gonna do the trail thing on that. Okay, next up, the Ugly Duckling Trail Grant presentation, and Rob, I believe, is not, oh, Ken's gonna talk about it.
Good evening. My name is Ken Baker. I'm a biology teacher here at the school. Mr. Taylor is not able to be here tonight, and so he asked me to present this. I'm here to inform the school board that we were awarded the Ugly Duckling Trail Grant, which will be used to fund AmeriCorps volunteers who will be improving the trail system behind the field hockey field, and that will be going on next week. That's really why I'm here.
Any questions? Comments? I think it's great. We walked out there and saw what they were going to do. Is
Yep. Yeah, it really should help the cross-country team and the Nordic ski teams, yeah.
And of course, those trails are all open to the public, too.
True, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And timber harvest.
Hello, my name's Brendan Vayu, and I'm going to be a junior this fall here at Spruce Mountain. If you look at the first page here, there's a yellow outlined area of 9 acres owned by RSU73. Back in 2011, there was a timber harvest conducted that happened on this land by the town of Jay at the time, and it was owned by the town of Jay. In 2011, when the schools consolidated, it became owned by RSU73. There will be a timber harvest being conducted in the surrounding areas, which are outlined in red, in the winter of 2022 and 2023, and that will be conducted also by the town of Jay. While 9 acres may seem like a small lot to timber harvest at once, we think it would be suggestible to do it also when the town of Jay does their timber harvest. So next I'll get into why we believe it is a suitable time to do a timber harvest. In the fall of 2021, Spruce Mountain's main natural resources class, who's taught by Rob Taylor, did a timber inventory. On the next page, you'll see the results of that timber inventory. This graph here shows that while we have a low number of trees, we have a high basal area, which means we have a lot of large trees, which create a large canopy, which prevents new trees from growing. So by doing a selective timber harvest, it would allow new trees to grow. New trees are better for the environment than older trees because they take in more carbon and produce more oxygen, which creates a positive environmental factor. And then some other pros about doing a timber harvest is there's about $1,000 profit for each acre, which would be about $9,000 in all. And next, I'd like to talk about what we propose we would like to do with that money. We'd like to propose that that money goes towards different STEM projects in the community and recreational, possible recreational area. And then, so we propose to you that the land be harvested during the 2022-2023 winter by Steve Gretel, who will be doing the timber harvest for the town of Jay. And next, I propose that we do an outdoor learning space at the Livermore Elementary School. And for that, during the harvest, we'd like a small clear-cut area. And we propose that the creation of an outdoor learning space would be accessible to Spruce Mountain Elementary students. The social work at the school, Jen Stone, is working with a grant fund that would support the creation of an outdoor learning space that would include a raised platform. As part of the timber harvest, we'd like to do a small clear cut that would be used to do that recreational area. Thank you.
Well done. So what we're looking for as a board is a motion to give them permission to proceed. We would not, they would still have to come back to us to approve a bid. But this gets the ball rolling. So I would entertain a motion that we proceed with the timber harvest proposal for the high school and the clear cut. Moved by Elaine, second. Phoebe, any questions, comments?
This just hit me. This isn't going to affect the trail system that they're improving, is it? Okay, good, thank you.
Joel?
Just a clarification, based on what you said before and then the motion, this is to allow them to proceed to get bids,
Yes.
and then you said the bids will be returning to us.
Correct.
Okay. Sounds good. Good job.
Any other questions, comments? Andrew?
Are there plans in place to plant any new trees or diversify any new plantings? Or just not let them naturally?
We don't plan to plant new trees. We plan to just allow the new trees to grow. By allowing the canopy to open, it will allow new species to grow. And normally timber harvests, like the last timber harvest was conducted in 2011, they often happen every 10 to 15 years. So say that these new trees come up this time, we can cut the trees we left behind, and say the next time we come around, we can cut those trees. So we're always having a sustainable timber harvest.
Joel?
Sorry, I have one other question. Because of what we ran into, like with the tennis courts and some other linkages back to the past and whatnot, do we have all the rights and abilities to do this harvest and everything else like that on the land without anything coming in and around us? I mean, that's,
To my knowledge, yes.
okay.
Anyone else?
Just a comment, this proposal is so well-written and so well-researched. We know what it meant to the community last time in 2011, and that these funds go back the proposed funds will go back into the STEM program, and groups like the Envirothon is just wonderful. And you did a wonderful job tonight presenting, and I thank you for your hard work. And thank Mr. Taylor, too.
Thank you.
Pat?
You did a great job with your presentation. You sound like you know what you're talking about, and I really appreciate that. My question is the surveyor, Mr. Gretel?
Ghetto, yes.
Or Mr. Gettle, did he also survey our RSU portion? I know it says that he did or has marked for the town.
Yes.
But has he corroborated this survey that the Envirothon team has done?
Mr. Taylor, who taught the Maine's Natural Resources class that conducted this information, has worked closely with Mr. Gettle.
Okay.
And he is the person who would be conducting the J timber harvest. So you guys, the school board and Mr. Taylor and those people would also work closely with him during that.
Excellent, thank you.
Anyone else? Great, thank you. And
Thank
again,
you.
good job. Roll call, please.
That's okay.
Yes.
Elena,
Yes.
Elaine,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Tasha? Amy? Yes. Andrew?
Yes.
Ava?
Yes.
Joey?
Yes.
Holly?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes. So moved. Next up, Mr. Keller with Cooperative Soccer.
That's a tough presentation to follow. Nicely done. So I'm here to talk tonight about cooperative soccer programs. Over the past few years, our numbers for both our boys and girls soccer programs have not been high. We're running somewhere in the mid-teens. A couple years ago, we had 13 playing boys soccer. So having to put 11 on the field, it makes it very challenging, especially when it comes to, a season-long injuries and academic issues and things like that. So last season, I had just had a brief discussion with Dirigo High School about possibly doing one, kind of a last-minute thing, and we decided in talking that we wouldn't be able to bring it to the school board and have that all finalized before that season. So we kind of met a couple weeks ago at an athletic director's meeting And he brought it up as he'd like to try it this year. Currently, we do have 18 girls signed up. We also have 14 boys signed up. Through my 23 years of coaching and being an athletic director, you can pretty much count on 2/3 to 3/4 of those kids actually participating. So you're really looking at numbers around 11 and 15, which again puts us in that area of concern of kids being able to finish the season and teams being able to play individual games. We had a boys game a couple years ago where we sent 11 kids to play, which is really difficult, and it's not real healthy for, for them to be out there going through an entire game without the opportunities for substitutes and breaks and things like that. Currently, they have 9 girls signed up, and they have 5 boys signed up. So it's not going to be a tremendous, number of kids, but it will boost both our program and will hopefully develop their program. Our thought is that we would play and practice here at Spruce Mountain High School. They would bus their kids over each afternoon. They would hire a JV coach so that they would come along with them, providing van transportation. We would play the majority of our games here with the opportunity to go over there and play 1 or 2 games in order to, again, help to build their program. And we would participate as Spruce Mountain Dirigo. He is going to his school board on Tuesday the 14th. They're asking for his thoughts. He will do a presentation, and then he will go back again on the 28th of June to get final approval, if we get approval on this end. So it's an opportunity to involve more kids, to try to help build both our program and their program, and provide opportunities for our kids who, when we get to that number level of 12 and 13 kids, we are going to have freshman kids, sophomore athletes that may not be ready for varsity competition, so it would actually give us more kids to buffer so that we can then possibly have some JV games and help them to develop their skills so that they would be ready for varsity competition. So we're just looking, I'm asking tonight for us to be able to continue that conversation with them and hopefully get approval to move forward if the Dirigo School Board is in approval as well.
Any questions or comments? I have to say, as a former soccer coach and athletic director for only 10 years, I appreciate the fact of trying to keep programs going and giving more opportunity for kids, and I think that's what this does. Is it? I'm afraid our girls program numbers really going to be too low. So I'm glad that you're working on this, and I hope we can improve it personally. Pat?
Thank you. I think it's a great idea. I mean, we kind of looked at the same thing with football when, we brought the numbers of players down. This isn't unusual. It's been happening for some years in all these communities. I think it's a great idea to, obviously engage more students. My question is, looking a couple of years ahead now, say we're talking about middle school students now, do we see a decrease in total player potential, ones that are already engaged in soccer programs? Do we see a decrease, a steady, or an incline?
It looks as though at the AYS program, which is really where it needs to be built, it's increasing some. It's not tremendously high, not where we'd like to have it, but it is increasing some. At the middle school, this year we're getting 2 girls and 5 boys. The next couple years with soccer, it's going to go up a little bit. There's a big class of 7th graders and 6th graders, and same thing with field hockey. Right now our numbers with field hockey aren't even great, but compared to where they have been. So it's looking like the numbers are going to go up, at least on our side, and hopefully this will help them, and if it doesn't, then, we can look at continuing this cooperative agreement. So even if they have 3 or 4 kids that just want to play,
Right.
then we, hopefully it'll go well, and we'd be willing to do that with them to help give their kids opportunities. We've sent kids over to Dirigo to wrestle in the past couple of years, so it's kind of nice to return the favor. We also have kids playing lacrosse at Maranacook, and also ice hockey with a cooperative down there as well. So
I appreciate your effort.
thank you. Thank you.
Question I have, then Joel, is not knowing how this works, because every year they seem to change it, what class would that put the teams in?
It really depends on how many we get and what the total population of the team is. So for instance, what happens is you take the number of students that are from each school. And so let's say we have 20 total kids, and we have 5 of those kids are from Dirigo. Then we would take our population and 25% of their population and add them together to get what our competitive population would be. And so we are very close to the top of Class C, so it may put us into Class B.
Because didn't it used to be they'd combine the populations of both schools?
Yes, I mean, even if you had one student
Right.
playing, they would combine the entire population, but they
That's
don't
what I
do
thought.
that anymore because they understand the inequity of that.
Joel?
Following along on the MPA world a little bit, this is treated as essentially one team. Is there anything with rates and everything else like that? Does that follow similar proportions, or?
And I'm sorry, I missed-
MPA, I mean, is there anything financial associated with doing this?
No.
Anyone else? I guess my other question is, the 2 schools possibly have different grading things that allow them to play or not play. Is that going to be standardized between, or how does that work?
So what usually happens, and what we do with ours, is our kids are held to our standard, and the Dirigo kids would be held to their school standard, so.
Okay. Anyone else? Andrew?
If it's possible, win the championship, this bond team who gets to
Let's get on the field first. That's a good question. Maybe we'll split the cost of a second, and we'll send one to each school.
There you go. Seeing none, entertain a motion to have Mr. Keller move forward with a cooperative soccer team with Dirigo. Moved by Phoebe, second by Pat. Any further discussion? Joel?
Should we friendly amendment it to be contingent on their approval as well?
Yes, please. Did you get that,
I
Laura?
make that as a, request to make that as a friendly amendment.
Yes, friendly amendment to contingent on Dirigo's approval. You okay with that?
Yep.
Pat? Yep. Good point, thank you. Seeing nothing else, roll call, please.
Jody?
Yes.
Yes.
Andrew? Robin?
Yes.
Ava?
Yes.
Elaine?
Yes.
Holly?
Yes.
Tasha? Yes. Phoebe? Yes. Lena?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes, so moved.
Thank you for your time and support.
Who's going to present that? Okay, so now we have the Envirothon Team State Champions.
So we're the Envirothon team. We represent the Envirothon team that won states this year, and it's been a really great season. And Daniel,
We took first, second, and third at the regionals. We also took second and first at states. So we've got a lot of potential.
At the state competition, we actually got the highest score on all but one of the 5 areas. And the one that we didn't get the highest score on, the second place Spruce team got the highest score on. So Spruce got all the highest scores at the state event. With our win at states, we have been invited to participate in the Ohio National Envirothon. This consists of one team from each of the 50 states, as well as a couple from Canada and a few from China as well. And we would like permission to attend this event.
Any questions? Pat?
To be honest, I really don't want to get too much into the comments, because to have Spruce Mountain representing the state of Maine in the Envirothon is quite the achievement, and I really appreciate all your efforts. Thank you.
Joel?
Even though I know who they are, can we make them introduce themselves?
I'm Dan Wilson. This is Abram Geisinger and Owen Schwab. And we're 3 of the 5 team members. The other 2 couldn't make it tonight, and that's Liz Wilson and Leah Burgess.
So, anyone like to make a motion? Elaine?
I'd like to make a motion that we give permission for the Envirothon team to represent the state of Maine at the, is it the national? In the Ohio competition, with congratulations.
Second.
Motion by Elaine, second by Pat. Any further questions, discussion? I guess, go ahead, Andrew.
So our budget this year, sorry, I'm Ken Baker again. I'm also an Envirothon coach, along with Mr. Taylor, who deserves most of the credit, by the way. He has created quite a dynasty here at Spruce Mountain with this Envirothon program of his. Our working budget this year, because we were just given permission to take one of the school vans to be able to drive out, which substantially reduces costs, will be around $3,000, and we're looking to fundraise for that. And we are confident that we'll be able to cover those costs through fundraising.
Anyone else? Joel?
When is the actual, you might have said it, when is the competition? How much time do you have to raise 3,000?
I don't believe we said it. It's at the end of July.
It says here July 23rd through the 31st. Anyone else? Okay, let's have a roll call, please.
Robin?
Yes.
Ava?
Yes.
Lena?
Yes.
Joey?
Yes.
Elaine?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Polly?
Yes.
Tasha? Yes. Joel?
Yes?
Phoebe? Yes. Andrew?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes, so moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, public comment. First up, John Benedetto.
Hello, John Benedetto from Livermore Falls. Just a quick comment. I know of all the NWEA and all the different exams that get administered through the different schools and whatnot. Wondering if they could be, the results of the overall results could be posted on the website. I went and I did see something from like 2017, 2018. It seems a bit outdated. I'm pretty sure there was some results from sooner than that. And that sort of goes into the other aspect of this. I'm working with other members of the community to try to bring jobs back into the area. As we can see, we don't even have enough kids for a soccer team now. But I sent an email a while back with I do have some ideas of maybe things that we could do to help boost the RSU73 system. As part of a community, if we want to bring in jobs and elevate people's careers, they're going to want to move to places that have a good education system. So I think, if we can show through these testing results and whatnot that year over year things are improving, you can show that you're controlling the budgets, it will help draw people in for some of these higher paying jobs that we're working to create. So it's something, all of this needs to work together. They're going to want to have a good, strong school system. So I don't know, I know some of you are new and you may not have received the email, but we can catch up. And I think sharing some of these ideas, because it's not just me, myself, I'm working with other members of the community. So you may not agree with the things I've said in the past, but I think we all agree that things need to change and get some jobs and stuff back into the community. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, Rachel Toner.
Okay. Go ahead. Just wait until people. I brought a crew with me. Okay. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of the group of teachers, ed techs, and support staff you see here from Spruce Mountain Middle School, as well as many who could not be here in person. We came to the board meeting tonight to show our support for our principal, Carrie Luce. Being a principal is undoubtedly a difficult and sometimes thankless job, especially in light of last week's safety threats. Combine this with a multi-year pandemic, a volatile political climate, and the prevalence of social media, and it's easy for people to place blame on those in charge. Both recently and throughout the year, there have been instances when Carrie has been targeted with verbal abuse. At times, she is berated with swears and insults that are simply disgusting. And in those moments, I'm sure it's easy for her to feel alone, and that's where we come in. From our point of view, Spruce Mountain Middle School would be an entirely different place without Carrie, but it would not be a better one. We can say this unequivocally and without hesitation. She's our leader, our advocate, and our co-pilot. Just a few short years ago, after Scott became superintendent and before Carrie was hired, our middle school had another principal who was not quite as capable. In fact, towards the end of the year, staff came together to form a much different letter. We wrote to the school board about our concerns with climate, safety, student behavior, and feeling unsupported. In the short amount of time since Carrie took the reins, however, our school has taken a much more positive direction. To think that we are fortunate enough to have a principal like her in only her second year since leaving the classroom is a blessing to our small rural community. We know how different it could be and worry that without the support of staff and school board alike, our district will lose her. Carrie starts every day at SMMS outside in front of our building alongside Craig Collins, welcoming our students by name. They're greeted with a smile and a compliment, which allows them to begin their day on a positive note. Being visible to all students in this manner helps make Carrie approachable to our student body. Students trust her, and some of our toughest kids truly respect her. The balance between being friendly and loving, yet stern when necessary, is a fine line, but Carrie walks it masterfully. She does not put up with inappropriate behavior. She takes our concerns about students and their safety seriously, and she does not shy away from tough conversations. At the same time, Carrie is dedicated to finding creative solutions to conflict, which is so important at the middle school level. She was instantly on board with restorative practices and uses that dialogue to facilitate conversations with both students and staff. A principal's day-to-day duties are tenfold, and yet Carrie still manages to have a vision for the future of our school, whether it be leading our transformation to a restorative school, offering new exploratory options for kids, or starting a student assistant team. Carrie makes sure to be transparent with her vision and communicates all changes and upcoming events in a professional and informative manner through weekly email updates. As a staff, knowing that our school has a competent leader with a positive vision for our future takes away a lot of stress from the unknown. We can feel confident that any initiative we undertake is well considered and one to which she is truly committed. Carrie's not far removed from the classroom, and as a former teacher, she understands on a different level what we, her staff, are dealing with. She consistently looks at decision-making through the lens of a teacher, but also always with her students' best interests at heart. She treats us as equals, listens to our concerns, and believes we have valid opinions and strengths to offer. She finds ways to give shout-outs and recognize the hard work her staff does, and she's known to give handwritten notes to show her appreciation. This authentic compassion and connection creates buy-in among staff, as does her genuine attempt to be available for teacher concerns throughout the day. Carrie's support for her staff at SMMS has helped inspire numerous positive changes in our school. From overhauling our school-wide schedule to budgeting and fundraising, she's not afraid to think outside the box. Carrie embraces change and doesn't simply settle for what's easy or what's been done before. For example, she supported an idea for occasional mentors as a way to reach out to students who need a caring adult, and even took on multiple mentees herself. She said yes to an idea for a free clothing store and agreed to allow a student-inspired food cupboard. Instead of saying no or not now to staff members' thoughts and ideas, Carrie says, "How can I help?" Her willingness to support new initiatives has inspired teachers to begin after-school clubs like Club Spectrum, a gay-straight alliance, and a chess club for all skill levels. These are just a few things that have improved our climate and helped make our school a more welcoming, diverse, and inclusive place. Despite these numerous positive changes in our school, Carrie frequently shoulders the brunt of public complaints and negativity, shielding her staff from this additional stress and allowing us to do our jobs more effectively. However, no one should be subjected to that alone, and understandably, emotions can run high. In those moments in which she displays her feelings, however, we do not see weakness, we see strength. If anything, we could all use a bit more empathy. Perhaps if we took a few more minutes to listen and consider multiple perspectives, there would be less animosity and instant complaining when things don't go exactly our way. Let's recognize that the school board, the staff at Spruce Mountain Middle School, and the community of RSU73 are all on the same team. Let's use that as a strength to continue to move forward together in a positive direction. Our district needs to find, nurture, and keep strong leaders, and from our perspective, Carrie's one of the best. Carrie has shown us time and again that she has what it takes to make our school something special, never more so than in the past week. With Thursday's bomb threat and Friday's lockdown, her leadership in the moment and empathy afterward enabled staff and students to stay safe and calm. She kept us informed as informed as possible, and debriefed with us immediately afterwards. She dealt with parents, police, and employees in a professional manner, and also made time to connect with students upon their return this week. We're grateful for her and her response. Spruce Mountain Middle School has made some unbelievable strides in just 2 short years, and so much of that can be attributed to Carrie's dedication as our leader. We need to embrace people like her who take initiative and give them the encouragement to rise to the occasion. Imagine how much further we can go. Imagine how much more we can support our students as scholars, and perhaps more importantly, as future members of our community. Carrie has had our back all along, and it's time for us to step up and have hers. So that's why we're here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very well said. Okay, do we have any board comments?
I guess riding on what Mrs. Toner just said, I wanted to just say how much I really appreciate that what you guys all went through last week, from Scott down to the ed techs and staff. It just, it's mind-boggling to see it happen here. It's just mind-boggling to see this kind of stuff happen here. And you guys towed the line, and you kept everybody sane and together, and just congratulations. You really did a fantastic job. Really appreciate that.
Anyone else? Okay, Superintendent's report.
Hey, good evening. We've been very busy dealing with the two threats. As was reported, suspects have been found and charged for terrorizing. I wanted to thank Spruce Mountain Middle School Administration, Carrie Luce and Craig Collins, and our new SRO, Joe Sage, for working so well together to handle these matters. I also wanted to thank everyone involved on those 2 days for following our protocols and making sure our students and staff were safe during a very stressful situation. As I reported in a robocall, and Chief Caden has stated to the papers, in both cases threats were made, but once investigated, they were only threats. There was no bomb and there was no weapon involved. Also been busy as the report came out yesterday that some of our lead testing results have come back. We're still waiting for 2 more schools. As we are required, we'll make sure we report the information out to everyone. We'll make sure students and staff have safe water to drink, and we'll be working on getting any issues that need to be fixed over the summer. That's pretty much taking up my time in the last couple of weeks. So.
Questions or comments for Scott? Okay. Administrator reports. Tina.
I do not know how to follow what Rachel just said. Okay, pulling myself together. Just a few updates for you. All of the Section 504 periodic reviews have been completed for the year, including all active referral packets processed and we've met on. There's one additional supplementary meeting that will be held next week that got scheduled today. Caseload currently stands at 68 as we move into the fall, taking out our any students who have left or any students who are graduating. Congratulations to our graduating seniors, by the way. We currently, as of today, have 6 referral packets that have been requested and sent out to families, but have not yet been returned. So those will be, trickling in over the summer, I'm assuming, if the parents decide to proceed with that. Golly. There we go. I've been working with Sherry Parker on some summer professional development offerings for staff in June, and so she's going to report tonight too, right? She'll give you the update on that. She's done a great job. Participated in the regional MADSEC meeting in Jay in Farmington and the state directors meetings online monthly. And I just want to say that I really appreciate the opportunity to continue my connection with those groups because it's helped me stay connected to state, what's going on in the state, but also within the region. So it's good to have those perspectives and to know that we are not alone in our celebrations and in our struggles and what we're facing on a daily basis. So, interviewed for and nominated a candidate for the open 504 ed tech position. So that nomination, I'm assuming, all good, Mr. Albert? Yeah. So that's proposed to begin in the fall. So that's all set. And we were informed today, actually, that the FY23 local entitlement allocations will be released in the morning. Woohoo! So that's great. The application will open up and it's due by July 1. So I'll be attacking that on Tuesday, which is my next day in district. So that's all that I have.
Questions or comments? Elaine?
Thank you, Tina. We have some new board members, and I know the community is listening on via. Could you explain the 504 program so people know what we're talking about?
Sure. So we're all familiar with the term special ed, and we're all familiar with the term regular ed. And so 504 is a general education it's an anti-discrimination law, actually. That one part of it is anti-discrimination, but the other part of it is accommodations or supplementary aids and services that could be provided to a student in the school setting if they don't need special education, but they do need maybe just a little bit because they have some sort of disability, mental health or physical disability. So that could be ADHD, anxiety, or a physical impairment, anything like that, but it doesn't quite rise to the level of needing special education supports and services. Is that helpful?
Thank you, Tina. I
Yeah,
think there
of
are
course.
many people in the public that don't understand the difference.
Yeah.
And this is good for them to know.
Sure.
Our
It's-
parents need to know that as
Yeah.
a possible support for their child.
Sure, of course.
Thank you.
Yes, and it's widely growing across the state, so. All right.
Anyone else?
Thank you. Put this.
Phoebe?
All right, I just want to echo what Elaine was saying. A couple of years ago, when I decided to move to this area, was specifically because of the special needs program, as well as the environment was much more inclusive to children who learn differently, who are on a different spectrum. A lot of the time when people hear things like special needs or a 504, a lot of parents, they get scared because when they were growing up, they knew how those children were treated. And I just want to thank you for highlighting that that's not something that we do here. We make sure that everyone has the opportunity to be educated, and they don't have to be ashamed of needing different methods to get their education. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anyone
Thank you.
else? Thank you, Tina.
I'll put this up for the next tall person. Oh, I'll keep it down because it's Sherry.
It's Sherry.
Hello. So I appreciate Tina still being connected with all of those groups too, because she's been a huge help to me as I started this in January. We currently have 355 students in special education. That is the same number as May, which is good. But we do have 3 additional referrals I just signed today, so it will go up to 358. That's 50 more than 2021. So in 1 year, we've gained 50 students in special education. Currently, the primary school has 81 students, 15 continue to be in referral, 95 students at the elementary school with 8 in referral, 88 students at the middle school with 4 in referral, and 91 students at the high school with 4 referrals in process. We currently have 8 students at out-of-district placements in special purpose schools. As I reported in May, we were about to meet to send another student to a different school, so he did go. And then we just had another student move in who was previously placed at a special purpose private school. We are graduating 10 seniors this weekend that receive special education services, and 2 of those students are from special purpose schools. They successfully completed their educations there, so that's fantastic. In the fall, we'll welcome 18 students either into transitional kindergarten or kindergarten from Child Development Services. So we've held all of those transitional IEP meetings. During the month of July, we're going to offer extended school year services to 40 students. We will be offering staff training that Tina talked about in June for how to write IEPs, observations, and to do some achievement testing. So the majority of the special education case managers will be at those trainings. Hopefully after tonight's meeting, we will have another special education teacher at the primary school. That's later on your agenda. But we do continue to try and fill the following positions. We need 2 Ed Tech 1s at the primary school, a special education teacher for the behavior program at the elementary school, a special education teacher for the middle school behavior program, which has continued to be open since October. We need an Ed Tech 2 for the high school resource room, and there's also a position for an special education social worker to work with our middle school and high school students.
Any questions, comments? Elaine?
Sherry, I see some heads as we talk about, the numbers of kids and that we have qualifying for special ed services, and they must qualify for that through testing and assessments. I would say that would it be a fair statement to say that our percentages of special ed students are pretty much the same, equitable to other schools in the area?
Across the state, it's about 25% of the population.
Right.
Is
And-
special education, and
and
we are
it's
at
grown.
26%.
Right.
That is an increase. And last year, it was also 25%, and the year before that, I think it was like 18 for us. So
Right.
it's grown a little.
Yeah.
Maintained since last year.
But
even
it's
with the
certainly
extra.
equitable with the state numbers. And we're
Yes.
seeing more percentage each year.
Yes.
And especially with move-ins. I would wonder about how many students we're receiving from other places with special ed need.
There are quite a few. I don't have the number off the top of my head.
But I'm sure it must be high, and that contributes. I
Yes,
just wanted to
we-
be clear for
right.
everybody's knowledge.
We have received several. And once you have an IEP, it follows you no matter what school district you go to until that testing is redone. And you are determined that you've closed those gaps and learn skills to cope with your disability.
Thank you for making that clear. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, TJ.
Good evening. It has been a crazy round of 3 weeks or so at Spruce Mountain High School. We've had all our senior stuff is going through. We've had scholarship nights. We've had fine arts nights. We've got our big graduation coming up. I just want to go back to the scholarship thing, and it's so important for our community to hear this. Our community gives more money than any other community I've ever been a part of. And when at one scholarship night, we give out $250,000, that's unheard of in a lot of communities. I just want to say thanks to the community members that put those scholarships out there and choose our students, and to our students also. They have done an amazing job these past 4 years. And you'll hear about it at the graduation. It's going to be a great event. It is Sunday at 1, rain or shine. It looks great right now. But you never know. It's been raining pretty much in the last 3 days for our marching practices. It's always one of my favorite time of year to see our students become so successful and move on to that next step. And I have a daughter that's going on next year to college, and it's bittersweet, I will tell you that much. To all those parents out there right now who are dealing with the same thing, it's bittersweet. You know, you want to see them be successful and move on, but man, it's nice to keep them around. So the other thing that I'd like to bring up is our students will be doing a senior grad trip right after on the Monday, and they're going to Six Flags. And that's not part of our school stuff, so just to understand that, we don't have anything to do with that. As soon as they are graduated, they are graduated. And then also my student handbook, I'll be bringing some changes to our next board meeting, just so you guys can see it and review it. I will have it ahead of time so that you can review it beforehand. So that's where I'm at. That's it. We have 70 graduating seniors.
Any other questions, comments? Phoebe?
Actually, my son Dante wanted to give you a comment. He saw the senior pranks and he thought they were hysterical.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to thank you for being a good sport.
Yeah, you know, and it is one of those bittersweet things too. You know, you see the toilet paper hanging in the tree when you're coming in, and you know, yeah, that's not bad. You know, they didn't destroy anything, but man, it's ugly. No, yeah, thanks. Oh, and we did do the memorial walkthrough. If you guys see any of those pictures on Facebook or whatnot, I will tell you the one thing: my seniors feel like rock stars when they go through the elementary and middle and the primary. Those kids are like on fire for them. It's pretty cool to watch, so. Yeah, oh yeah, Yeah, oh, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there the day after the prank. I didn't realize hot dogs grew on them.
On the lawn.
On the lawn, yeah.
And I would tell you whose idea that one was, but she lives with me, and I'll die with it. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you very much, DJ. Carrie?
Good evening. Before I get to my board report, I have to say thank you to my staff. I'm absolutely humbled and overwhelmed with your vote of confidence in me. You give me courage and hope and the strength to face each day, and I thank you for that. I love you like family. You have no idea just how humbled I feel by this evening. I'm speechless, and that doesn't usually happen. So as I was sitting down to gather my thoughts for this board report, it struck me that this is my last report of the school year. And it's been quite a year marked with many changes, challenges, and triumphs. And through these, my appreciation for my staff and students has deepened. I belong to the most incredible team of educators anywhere. I love these people like family. I see how hard and how tirelessly they work for their students. And not only do they have all of my respect and admiration, they have the love and respect of their students. And I want all of you to know that. And my students, I don't even know where to begin. These are the most resilient kids I've ever worked with. They are intelligent and funny and quirky as middle schoolers can be. And they're brave, and they are loved and cared for by our staff. And I hope that sentiment shines through in the rest of my board report, because everything that follows is evidence of why we do what we do, and it is all for the good of our students. Since my last report, my staff and I took nearly 100 eighth graders to Boston, to the Museum of Science. We had a wonderful time, and I thank you as a board for giving us the opportunity to make the trip. And just ad-libbing for a minute, I want you to know that 3 of my boys, they came running up to me and said, "Mrs. Luce, will you tell us when the train crosses into New Hampshire?" And I told them, I can't, I don't really know when that's gonna happen. But it was a day of firsts for probably more than just those 3 boys, but some of their firsts were first time riding in a train, first time leaving the state of Maine, and the first time seeing the ocean. We had a train stop at Old Orchard Beach, and they could see the ocean for the first time. And for many of us who have been born and raised in the state, which is a coastal state, we take for granted that everyone has those hallmark moments of their childhood when they get to see the ocean and do those things. And it was just a sober reminder that this was first for several of our students. So thank you. You made an impact by allowing us to go, and I'm so grateful to you for that. Last week, my staff took nearly 127th graders to the L.L. Bean Outdoor Discovery Center, where they did some sea kayaking, navigated the ropes course, and they played tons of team-building games. They had great weather and a wonderful time. The middle school also held a reading fundraiser. Thank you, Mrs. Kennedy and Mrs. DeMillo, for organizing it. We raised almost $2,500. A shout out goes to all of the students who participated, with Dante Roy being our top earner and Braden Courtney for being our top reader. And this money is earmarked for fun events for our students. The next big event on our horizon is promotion night. In the last 2 weeks, members of my planning committee and I met with parents to see where tweaks could be made to our event. We agreed not to limit families to 1 car. We rerouted the parade to return to the middle school where cars can park, students can have photo ops with their friends and family, and all can enjoy an ice cream social on us. I cannot stress the amount of thoughtfulness and creativity that went into planning this event, or our desire to honor and recognize our amazing 8th graders. It's going to be a really fun evening. Summer school begins on July 5th. Last year, we had 60 students attend summer school. This year, 30 are registered, but several may not need it. Grades close tomorrow, and students have been working with their teachers to finish strong academically. Finally, I want to acknowledge my staff and students for staying calm during the emergency events last week. For 2 unplanned events, we handled the circumstances with grace and courage. Not one of our students went unaccounted for. We know how to keep our kids safe,
and I couldn't be more proud of my school. On Monday morning, to reestablish feelings of safety at school, I addressed the student body. I talked with the students about the seriousness of making fake threats, and that they come, as we've seen, with very real consequences. We reviewed all of the measures in place within the school to keep all of us safe, and I thanked them for their bravery, and I encouraged them to be upstanders and dependable citizens of our school. We have 4 days of school left. Students have field day to look forward to, yearbooks to sign, step-up day, and several other surprise events that we have planned for our kiddos. May the next 4 days be memorable for all of the right reasons. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Any questions, comments? Pat?
Hi, Ms. Luce. Thank you for such a great report, and to all of your staff and support for their kind words up here earlier. I mean, just listening to them speak, you speak at, you know, all of our board meetings, and you're very professional, and you're very well spoken.
Thank you.
And to hear your staff come right up here and say that you also have the time to come out and say, how can I help? Is there anything I can do? This is great qualities of leadership. Obviously, I don't need to tell you all that because you're living it. But to handle an extra sort of out of the ordinary circumstance like an emergency, and to do it with such tact, I want to personally say thank you for all of what you and your staff has done under your leadership, and it's very much appreciated.
You are most welcome, Patrick. I thank you. I did not ask them to do this tonight, but I am so incredibly grateful because I can't even begin to, and I don't really want to even go into the challenges that I have faced and my school has faced this year, but thank you. I have tried to handle everything professionally, and I can't tell you how much I love our students, and again, how much I love my staff. It gives me courage to know that they've got my back.
Andrew?
First of all, I want to thank the board meet and the seventh graders on their trip, high school trip. Many of us, it's our first time out of state also, so I can understand where the kids are having. Thank you for doing that experience. I'm also glad to see your numbers on summer school this year drop. I know last year, you and Mr. Secretary were very distraught, I guess, in some schools about the academic load kids were at. Is it really much better now?
Things are better.
Special to drop the numbers, or if I work with the staff?
I would say being in person 5 days a week was huge. The after-school program helped, but yeah, the dedication of my staff, but also the dedication of the students. They want to do well, you know, they want to feel good about themselves as students. So it was a team effort all the way around.
Anyone else? Jody?
So I'd like to personally thank Mrs. Luce and the teachers for the 8th grade promotion night, for considering some of the maybe difficult comments that came at the last board meeting, and really coming to a compromise for some of those things that were concerns, to provide what I'm looking forward to is an awesome night with the parade, and just changing some wording is amazing what it can do. And I want to just thank you all for at least listening to some of those comments, and hopefully this will be the best night for both you guys and the students. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anyone else? Phoebe?
All right. I was going to say this during board comments, but I decided to wait. I'm glad I did, because I would have, honestly, I was just overwhelmed by the support of your staff, their words, and I honestly feel like that every time I walk into the middle school, that all the teachers and all the staff are there to welcome everyone, as well as support each other, and to see them all here and them express it into words is just remarkable. And we only have a couple more days left of school, and I'm hoping that this is going to be a high note that carries on through the rest of the week for you guys. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Thank you. Pat?
Before I start, can I make a request for next year? Can I go before Carrie, please? Holy mackerel.
So Laura, put a note down to keep Pat last.
I'll go last. I'll go last because that's just
After Carrie.
Jeez. Sometimes I feel like I'm not liked, but I'll go with that. So I'm going to hand a picture that was taken. We had a celebration of our TIC poster winners. We had Sheila Lyman, who's a state representative for the area, came, and we had a whole school assembly on the playground like the good old days, getting all the kids together. She came and awarded each of the girls, Anna Moffett and Maisie Emery. They got little certificates and little gift bags from her. So in the picture, you'll see Sheila, you'll see Tammy Lindsay, who's our art teacher, and you'll see the two young ladies. Anna's in 5th, and Maisie's in 3rd grade. So it was an exciting time being out on the playground, having the kids excited about something good and positive, to know that these were state-level winners, and that those posters will be used for the state TIC at the state park. So you should see some of their artwork out and about, which is a great thing to see Spruce Mountain represented throughout the whole state, so I like that kind of stuff. Move Up Day. I like Move Up Day, but at the same time it's sad because our 5th graders are going up to the middle school. Mrs. Stone took the 5th graders up there this week and tomorrow. And they get their tours, and you can see the nervousness on the 5th graders because they're going from, the big dogs on campus, and now they're going back to being 6th graders. So they're nervous and they're asking, and I'm like, you'll be fine. The staff, Mrs. Luce, they're all awesome people. They'll take care of you. They're nervous. I say, my daughter's up there. She survived. So it's exciting to see that change. And then we had the 3rd graders, or the 2nd graders come up today, and they're so tiny. They're so little, because now you look at the 3rd graders who are almost 4th graders, and, they got the big eyes, and they're like, are you the principal? And I am, and I'm talking to them, and they're just looking at me like, I don't know if I should talk to you or not. So that was exciting. The kids got to go and meet their 3rd grade teachers today. And it's exciting because I see a lot of faces that look like their older siblings. I see some of these high school kids that were talking today, and I'm like, you were so tiny when you were at the elementary, and now you're all grown and sound smart. And, I'm like, I don't see them, and they disappear. And then I see Daniel, who still doesn't say a lot wherever he, and it's like, so today was a great day, just seeing the kids and the faces and the excitement and the nervousness and all the good things that we're used to in a regular school year. Summer school, we had 24 students recommended for summer school. Right now we have 17 that are coming. We're calling the other 7 to see, because we haven't heard from all of them, so we are checking in to see if we can get the full 24 to come in. So that's exciting to work on those skills that those kids need. As far as last week, it was interesting because, the kids at the elementary didn't know what was going on, but they knew something was going on. So I need to thank my staff. They did an outstanding job keeping the kids calm. We did have to change a couple things. I don't know, being, Carrie and TJ, what was going through their minds, but at the elementary, everybody did well. The kids did well. We tried to keep it as normal as possible. The kids at this age, they don't need to know that. They just need to know that they're there, we care about them, and they're safe. So I have to give kudos to my staff. They did an amazing job. School numbers. We're at 313. We're down 2 from 315. And another exciting thing that TJ mentioned was the walkthrough, because these kids are giant. You know, they're walking through their caps and gowns, they're graduating, I'm excited for their futures, and I'm trying to figure out who's who and who did I work with and who haven't I seen in a few years, and I'm like, is that someone? Is that? I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe. And just the look on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders' faces, seeing, you know, the big kids coming through in their caps and gowns, and they got their sashes, and they got medals, and they got everything, and they're looking, you know, so cool and grown up, and the kids are like, oh, someday I could hear, you know, a couple of kids like, oh, we're going to get there someday, and I'm like, well, you better keep doing your work then. So, you know, it was just a great week of positives after a week of some things that were negative. So it was a lot of fun, and, you know, it makes you, you know, you have those bad days, and those days you're like, holy cow, I don't know if I'm going to make it, but then when you have the move-up days, and you have the walkthroughs, and I get to stand in the parking lot and talk to the parents every morning, it's like, these are the things that I love, so. That's all I have.
Any questions, comments? Elaine?
I think we're going to have a board night where everybody here on the board wears plaid, if that makes you feel supported.
Well, I mean,
Well, I am wearing plaid, I just happen to have.
yeah. Well, everybody keeps telling me I should dress like Hollingsworth, but I don't know.
No, we see what he's wearing.
Oh,
We can see what he's wearing.
I heard a comment
Question.
earlier, where are the batteries?
yeah.
I
don't know.
do
if I
have,
could- Oh, sorry.
sorry, no, it's okay. I love to listen to the banter between you two, but Carrie was mentioning that last year there were 60 students going to summer school, needing summer school services, and that now there are 30 this year. How does your numbers this year, 17 out of 24, how does that compare with last year? I know there's been a huge
Yeah,
sense
I mean,
of
I don't have-
pressure
Yep.
that our kids have lost so much from not being at school. I think, you know, the middle school dropping their numbers in half for need
Yep.
is huge, and that says so much for our staff. How does that compare with the elementary?
This year, our numbers are actually right at where we were last year as far as the kids that are coming. It was just, we had to, like, step back. You know, even though a kid may be in 4th grade, we had to go back into, let's talk math, for instance. So we did flex grouping at the 3rd grade, you know, so we did a pre-assessment, we looked at the kids, we looked at their range of needs. And at every grade level, we had to go back sometimes into, you know, 2nd grade. We had to go back and try to get some of those skills that they were missing because we only went to school 2 days a week. So right now, our need is still, I would say, where it was last year. I'm hoping moving forward with the flex grouping. We did flex grouping all year with 3rd grade. 4th grade, we did it part of the year. 5th grade, we didn't do it at all, but we will be doing it next year with the change in how we're doing scheduling. We're also looking at doing flex grouping for reading in 3rd and 4th next year, just because we know that the range of kids in a classroom, you can have a classroom that could have reading levels from 3rd grade, you could have kids from anywhere from 1st grade to 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
You know, and that's super difficult for one teacher to take care of, to have that range. But having 6 teachers also at 3rd grade are going to make the classroom smaller. And it's also going to give us 6 teachers where we can cover that range of students. And the kids that need the most help are going to have, like, our title teachers in there. We're also going to use our allied arts staff to help during that time, because during that reading block time, there won't be allied arts. So we'll have more teachers in the classrooms so that the teachers are getting more help. You know, if you teach, let's say Tammy Lindsay teaching art, she doesn't have to necessarily know how to teach reading, but she can go in and do flashcards or those kind of things, you know, with the kids for their sight words, you know, making sure that kids are on track. We're just trying to do different things for the benefit of the child. You know, if it's not working, I don't want to keep doing it. It makes no sense to me. You know, we're always trying to do what's best for kids. So this year we did see improvement, you know, but I think we've got a lot to make up.
And obviously, at the elementary level, those steps, those are so much more concrete.
Yes.
And any missed ones,
Yep.
it takes longer, and we can't build unless they're there.
Yeah.
So those numbers, I mean, it's apples and oranges, middle school to
Yeah.
elementary school. But I'm loving what you've said about the changes you've done in groupings and, you know, teaching, looking at NUIAs. I know we've talked about that in the
Yep.
past, and tailoring that education to those things. So thank you, and
Yes.
thank you to
Well,
your
I mean,
staff.
we need to meet the kids where they're at.
Yes.
And it doesn't do any good to say, well, third graders should be doing this. Well, they're not third graders. We've missed a couple years. Yes, physically they may be third grade, age-wise they may be third grade, but educationally they're not third graders yet.
Pat?
Thanks, Pat. You know, obviously, there's tremendous amount of work when you're talking about oftentimes your first and second year students, these last 2 years of students coming in for the very first time to a brand new school. You know, with COVID, some of them, kindergarten was the last time they had, quote unquote, a normal school year. So, you know, the work that's going in right now is directly benefiting those kids at, you know, sort of kind of a behind because of the schedule. But I see improvement on the horizon because the staff is so confident now and strong, and it makes me happy that the unit is working together. And I appreciate everything that everyone is doing.
Yeah, and it's the only way. I know the middle school, the high school, the primary, you know, we're trying to do what's best for kids. We're trying to work together. We're trying to use the limited resources that we have. You know, we're not Falmouth. We're not Yarmouth. We don't have a huge budget like they do. You know, we're doing it with the staff that we have, and we're using the talent that we have, and we're trying to use it the best we can.
Jody?
Pat, so I just want to say thank you for being outside every day to meet the parents that are dropping kids off. It may seem like something very little, but I think it is a really big thing that you are engaged every day with the parents that are coming through and dropping their kids off. Rain, sleet, snow, I've almost handed you an umbrella. But it really is a huge impact for that face-to-face contact with the principal of the school, and I just want you to know that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Pat, before you leave, could you just stop and give me the names and spellings of those kids
Yes.
from the poster contest?
Yeah, actually, you can read it on the poster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Thank you. Really?
He might not be able to read it.
Okay, the only thing I want to mention and remind the board, we have two graduations this Sunday. We have the high school graduation at 1. I encourage board members to go if possible. Do make sure that you call the high school office to let them know that you're going to be there. And then the adult ed graduation's at 4. You don't need numbers on that, just show up, or? Yeah, so, and both of those are on the football field. And on to policy. I entertain a motion to accept the first reading of policy KI, visitors to the schools. Motion by Andrew, second? Second by Pat. Did you have something?
I got Number came out in 20th century education. On the front page, part B, it says all visitors must call the school to schedule visits. Does that include text, TDY, or any other form of communication, or mail, or is that just strictly a phone call, or is the word call expanded in this meeting to automatically include text? The microphone's not working. I got a question on part B. It says all visitors must call the school in advance to schedule visits. Does that exclude texts and letters and TDY, or is that the meaning of call expanded, that just make contact with the school?
It's good question, that's why I asked Joel.
Well, I wasn't going to answer that specific question because I wanted to talk first to explain this policy. Because, I mean, the key thing is you got to look at the phrase above all the letters, where these are general guidelines that shall be incorporated in all building level administrative procedures. And that's the key piece of this, is a lot of policies have administrative procedures that go with them, and this is just setting an overall arching concept, as it says general guidelines, but each building is supposed to come up with their own specific procedure in order to go about this. I understand your question as far as call, but I don't look at that as a answer I can necessarily give. It's more to the administrators for their methodologies, but this is a new policy for us, so just everyone understands this. We do not have this now. And this actually was coming out before everything just happened around the country and here. Well, the recent stuff, I mean, there's been all this stuff. But this was brought to the policy committee from the superintendent, from the ad team, as a request to have an overall arching policy to give them the ability to put in specific procedures in each of their buildings to deal with this. So to your specific, what is the method, this policy is not going to detail that. This policy is going to say they need to have a procedure to do that.
Any other questions or comments on KI? So we do have a motion. We had a second. Yeah, Pat.
I had a comment on this when it comes to, the incorporation of the policies and the procedures. Would it be possible to kind of make a sort of a big deal about it to the community in terms of, well, this is who it affects, right? Putting it on the website, some more direct communication, maybe even at home with students, just because I know for certain that even though we were coming up with this policy before the things that had happened, that was the biggest topic in question of sort of the post of this, with a lot of parents mostly asking about, assisting and volunteering, and if this would have any effect in that. And so I think it would be good for at least the community to understand that we do have, this policy and procedures in place, so that they are aware, they can feel like they can jump in. That's all I had.
The timing's actually good because it's the end of the school year. If you guys pass the first reading tonight, we'll have the second reading at the end of the month, which will line us up for the beginning of the school year next year, so that the principals can have their procedures in place, and we can put that out on the website and opening messages, et cetera, so they know what's going on.
Thanks.
Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes. Yes. So moved. And COVID-19 update.
Hopefully not many more of these. COVID-19 numbers are staying low. The main CDC's standing operating procedure for responding to positive cases in schools will sunset this month. Schools will then follow existing communicable disease protocols for next year. That's what they're telling us at this moment, and that's what I'm going to believe. So,
Questions or comments on COVID? Thank you. So our last meeting, we looked at a snow removal bid and had some questions, and this is what we found out.
Ken spoke with them. The one thing they're willing to do, they're willing to take $1,000 off the price per season if the diesel amount drops to $5 per gallon, and they're willing to drop $2,000 per year off the price if diesel drops to $4 per gallon. So they are willing to come down a little bit if those prices miraculously were to drop instead of go up. So they're willing to meet us coming down as they had discussed going up if we needed to do that, so.
So, I entertain a motion to, well, do we have a motion? Or would anyone like to make one, I guess I should say? Joel?
Yeah, I move to accept the bid as proposed for the 3-year term with those new conditions as far as steps associated with fuel pricing.
Motion by Joel, we have a second. Robin? Any discussion, comments, questions? Phoebe?
So just to make sure that I'm clear on this, the price is not going to go any higher than the numbers we reviewed, but can potentially go lower if prices go down, yes?
Well, according to the last bid, they did talk about if the prices were to, if the diesel price was to go up above $6, that it could go up. But it's, we also need to understand this is the only bid we have. They've done a good job for us. Diesel prices are very volatile right now. Last time, they just gave us a bid about it going up. They were willing to take, like I said, take a look at, okay, what happens if the prices do, like I said, miraculously go down, that they would be willing to adjust to that for us, so.
Okay, thank you. I just need clarification.
Yep.
Anyone else? Can I, Joel? I mean, I know I'm the one who asked some of the questions on that, and the way I look at a bid like that is, yeah, we talk about the number that's up here by year, but when you look at it, there's a whole bunch of pieces of that bid, and if you look at the marginal aspect of the fuels, it's only a small amount up top. I mean, it's not tiny, but fuel is only a piece of what that whole bid is, so that's where, if there's gonna be an increase in that, that's where I was looking at to see a decrease. And the numbers you're referencing fit within a window of what I would think about. I mean, I do energy for my job, so I think about this stuff a lot. So I do appreciate them coming in there. But that's, I mean, yeah, we're not expecting the bid to have a huge swing. It's just only a piece of that, which is the fuel that we're talking about there, so.
Anyone else? Pat?
Yeah, to kind of get right on where Joel's saying, if they're already at this point where they're willing to say, well, we would take money away if the cost goes down, then we also have to be prepared that if the cost goes on the other end, because it's a futures. You know, we don't know what's going to happen 9 months, 10 months from now in terms of the cost of them to operate that business. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So moved. And I entertain a motion to enter into executive session to discuss a personnel matter pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A. Moved by Pat, second Phoebe. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Sherry and principals, please stay.
Yes.
Yes. So moved.
Yes, we need Carrie, TJ, and Sherry to stay, please.
Okay, we're back in session at 7:41. And I'd entertain a motion, let me get this name here right. This one. Entertain a motion to accept the superintendent's nomination of Hattie Duraps to the position of English teacher at Spruce Mountain High School. Motion by Pat, second by Lena. Any further discussion, comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
It's getting late.
Good.
Yes.
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 Yes. So moved. I'd entertain a motion to accept the superintendent's nomination of Catherine Robitaille to the position of sixth grade language arts teacher at Spruce Mountain Middle School. Moved by Phoebe, second by Pat. Any comments, further discussion, questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. So moved. I'd entertain a motion to accept the superintendent's nomination of Emily Brett to the position of special services teacher at Spruce Mountain Primary School. Moved by Phoebe, second by Pat. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. So moved. Next up, Robin.
Tonight, I just wanted to ask members of the board to consider removing both health and phys ed from our list of required classes needed for adult learners to finish their high school completion diploma at Spruce. Instead, I would ask that you replace these 2 credits with financial literacy and digital literacy. Last month, our instructors, Betsy and Michelle, shared with you their curriculum development around health awareness through a financial literacy lens, how to create nutritious, affordable meals, calculating the cost per serving, understanding health insurance premiums, co-pays, so the health piece will not be lost, but rather shifted to include more relevance for our learners' everyday lives so they can feel more confident living independently and making well-informed decisions about their finances. And for phys ed, as you can imagine, it can be kind of tricky. We've provided flexible independent projects in the past, including journaling their daily walks, our morning yoga routines, but exercise is not safe or inclusive for all of my learners, and I do want to be mindful of that. So I'd like to shift that over to the digital literacy. Our mission and vision is to prepare citizens for the 21st century. I feel like that just makes the most sense. And we'll be receiving that grant funding that I told you about to expand our digital literacy program. So I'd just like you to consider
Any
that.
questions? I guess my one question, is there any state requirements for those?
No, we have no policies in place here either.
Okay. Pat?
I was thrilled with the presentation that you all had put on with the literacy development and the curriculum development courses, and just knowing that you're not losing the health piece is really, that's a nice aspect, because what you're gaining is a very broad knowledge across many spectrums, and that could include just paying their own bills and just so many other independent living type of activities. And so I'm real excited for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joel?
Yeah, I was going to ask on the state if there's any statutes or anything that said what you had to have. And this is specific to adult ed.
Just adult ed.
And so we need to be sure, because we don't want that to carry down into TJ's world in any form of the way we approach this. And is there a target date you want it effective?
I'd like to start the fall semester.
Okay,
with
I
this
didn't
in
know if
place.
it hit the summer. Okay, so essentially the fall semester of the 2022, 2023 school year.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you enough lead time if you didn't want to make a decision tonight, that we'd be able to regroup and talk about it at a later time before the semester started.
Any other questions? Would anyone like to make a motion? Elaine?
I'd like to make a motion that we make a change in the fall of 2022, 2023. Beginning in the fall, thank you. To remove health and PA for adult learners to graduate and replace that with credits with financial and digital literacy.
You don't have to add that
I'm
last
not tired.
thing in.
Yeah, no. There you go.
Pat seconded
Too
that.
much coffee, too late.
Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Ava,
Yes.
Lena,
Yes.
Elaine,
Yes.
Holly,
Yes.
Tasha,
Yes.
Phoebe, yes, Joel,
Yes?
Yes. So moved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You have your list of co-curricular other appointments. I see no retirements, resignations there. Again, this is that pink one you don't have to give to Laura, but you can if you want. And we have a policy committee meeting on June 21st, 5 p.m. at the superintendent's office. June 23rd is our 21st regular school board meeting here again at the high school. And finance committee will meet at 5:30. And right now, we have no meetings scheduled for the month of July unless something happens, and we hope that doesn't happen. So hopefully we can enjoy our summers. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. That's how that goes. Lena. Ava, raise your hand. Ava seconded it.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.